I'm Nisha DeGaring.
And I'm Doug Jessop. Welcome to this episode of Family Heritage Stories, where we talk about what makes us who we are. Things like traditions, values, and culture.
How are these passed down through generations? Through words, through deeds, through stories.
When was the last time you thanked a veteran? It's time for Veteran Salute Stories. You also have a Purple Heart.
Well, that's the easiest medal you can earn.
Well, I'm sure I don't want to earn one, but tell me about your experience.
Oh, that's kind of a war story in itself, you know. I don't know how much detail you want.
It's up to you how comfortable you are.
Well, I was an aircraft commander, and I had my roommate was a warrant officer. And we were on first, we had first up, second up, and third up, which means the first guy goes, second guy, it's like
Right.
that. And we were working out of a place called Tain Inn. And we were called to the Cambodian border, or just inside Cambodia. This is in the May, June, July, when the U.S. Army was actually in Cambodia in 1970.
Right.
Nixon sent us in there. So we were called in there to evacuate a Vietnamese wounded, and we went into the LZ, the landing zone, and as we were hovering down in, because it was taller grass and trees, and I had to kind of maneuver through the trees to get into it, we were taking fire. Well, we were used to taking fire, which basically is a zing, zing, zing. You got a 1/4 inch of metal between you and the bullet, and we frequently did that. But this time we hit a high caliber, a 50 caliber type round.
Whoa.
And when we hit the aircraft, what I remember most was the smell of cordite, very much the smell of cordite, and everything turned just very slow motion. It just went into pure slow motion. You like the movies, you know, went into slow motion, honest to goodness. The round came through the bottom of the aircraft, we had metal seats we were sitting on, hit the pilot's, Eddie's, seat, shredded, went through the console, which is between us, which is all the radios, knocked all the radios out, came up through and through my leg, because I was on the left-hand side, the aircraft commander. And so we didn't have a pilot any longer because he was very injured. And we had to pull the back of the seat out and pull him back and back. And then the policy was always, when something like that happened, these seats had two little pins on them. You pull the pins, they fall backwards, and you pull the person out. And then the crew chief, because the medic was needed to take care of the wounded, the crew chief would get up in there to balance the aircraft. And we trained our crew chiefs to fly straight and level. They couldn't necessarily land or take off, but they could fly straight and level. So they were kind of a secondary, a third person on board to help us out there. I remember very distinctly that I looked up and my right leg was, instead of being on the pedals, it was up on the console. And there was a hole in my flight suit. I remember that. And I remember grabbing my leg and putting it back down on the pedals, and all this is going on in less than a couple of seconds. And I couldn't control the aircraft very well, so I figured I could either crash there where they were still fighting, and we were about 50 feet off the ground, or I could pull myself back out of there. And the kind of our policy is, if both people are hit, you get the aircraft out and get yourself out of there, and then we'll get another aircraft come in, because they're not going to help you. So I got the aircraft out of the LZ and was trying to head back to the hospital, and and I couldn't talk to anybody because my radios were gone, except I had a Fox Mile, which is an FM radio, so I could talk to the gunships that were around us. So one of them followed us back, and I couldn't go more than 30 knots, which is pretty slow, and I couldn't fly any more than treetop, because every time I tried to go up, I increased the vibration of the aircraft. As it turns out, the bullet not only done all that damage, but it had gone through the blade, one of the blades.
Oh.
And the blade has a metal part, and then it has a honeycomb part. That's called the spur. And it split the spur, so now instead of having 2 blades, I had 3, essentially. So the aircraft was shaking up and down where you couldn't see anything. And I finally put it down in the field there, and Connie and his crew came out and got us out of there. And a couple days later, we went back and got the aircraft and brought it back. Wow. So that was it. Then they took me back to Tane Inn, and Eddie went to the hospital and had major surgery done. And they basically gave me a tetanus shot and a couple of stitches and took the shrapnel out of my leg and put me back in the aircraft to go back on another mission.
Yep.
A new aircraft.
Well, I'm glad you're okay.
No, it's a day's work.
Yeah. Veteran Salute Stories is made possible by a generous grant from the Fedora Foundation and viewers like you.
You are watching Family Heritage Stories. We'll be right back.
Mr. Green? Mr. Green?
Yeah.
You need any help?
Mm-mm.
I just want you to know, I think you're the best ever.
Yeah, sure.
Want my Coke? It's okay, you can have it.
No.
Really, you can have it.
Okay.
A Coke and a smile makes me feel good, makes me feel nice.
See you around.
That's the way it should be. I like to say,
Hey, kid.
the whole world is smiling with me. Coca-Cola has life. Have a Coke and
Thanks, Mean Joe.
smile.
What is one of your favorite memories about Grandma or Grandpa?
My grandmother's name was Margaret Hannah Lambert, and she was actually born here in Utah after her ancestors joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But her ancestors emigrated in the handcart company that came across the plains, and they were in the very first one, the MacArthur Handcart Company. And she came here and she was born here, and her father was a coal miner, and so she was a coal miner's daughter. And he settled many towns in the west, Heber City, Colville, down the central Utah, and he actually lost an eye one time in one of a mining accident. And he looked so ugly that the Indians ran because he looked so terrible when they came to scalp him or whatever. But she lived all over the Utah down to Arizona. Her father was also a builder, and so she's very near and dear to my heart, and a lot of people say I have some of her personality.
And now, Dad Jokes with Mike Agrilius.
If you ever want to build an ark, guess what? I know a guy. If a frog is illegally parked, it'll be towed, so sad goodbye. All from the book, Whatever Floats Your Goat, the granddaddy of dad jokes, for kids and old coats.
The last words that my grandfather said were, "Please remember me." This is Doug Jessop. It would be my honor to help you share your story with a private in-studio interview with a video for you to keep. Go to FamilyHeritageStories.com for pricing and to schedule your interview.
You're watching Family Heritage Stories. We'll be right back.
I have a pretty cool family. Some family I haven't even met, but they are amazing too. How do I know? Your history is everywhere, if you know where to look. But searching through all this? Are you kidding me? Actually, Kindex makes it easy to gather records and add them to your online archive, so everyone can jump in and index their records, making every word searchable.
as I sit here all alone, I wonder what you are doing now, period.
So I look on that and say,
There are lots of ways to transcribe and tag records. With Kindex, I know them anyway.
One of my favorite inspirational quotes is from Audrey Hepburn. She said, "To plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow." The name of the show is Family Heritage Stories. What does heritage mean to you? I mean, it's in a bunch of books that the Jewish land, if you will, has been in a particular place for a bit of a while.
About 4,000 years.
Yeah, more than 40-something years, okay?
Yeah.
Tell me about, you know what I'm getting at,
Sure.
okay? Tell me what in the world is the history of Israel and why is that land important?
Sure. So, it has been tough to be Jewish. I went and saw Fiddler on the Roof at the Hale Theater last night, and Tevye at one point said, "I know we're your chosen people, but couldn't you choose somebody else once in a while?" So 4,000 years ago, God told Abraham, "I'm going to take you out of the land that you know, or the Chaldeans, which today would be in Iraq, and bring you to a land that's a promised land and for your descendants." So Abraham went out to what today we would call the land of Israel, and back then it was called Canaan. And his wife Sarah died. And when Sarah died, Abraham was offered a burial plot by somebody who said, in what today would be Hebron, and said, "You can have this to bury your wife." And Abraham said, "No, I want to purchase it." And he said, "Well, no, I'm not going to make you purchase it. I'm giving it to you." And he said, "No, I insist on purchasing it." And the reason why was because, like, if you let me stay in a guest room in your house, I don't own that room.
No.
But if I purchase your property from you, now it belongs to me and I can give it to my children. And so this was very strategic from Abraham. And we see that Abraham and his children and his grandchildren, great-grandchildren, all live in this land. Then we have time when we're exiled and when we're in the land of Egypt as slaves, and then God brings us back into the land of Israel. But we have then established a kingdom of Israel in this land. And there's actual proof of this. This isn't just the Bible. There's archaeological evidence that shows that Jewish people have had a presence in this land for thousands of years. And after the Romans, though, we were largely expelled from this land and sent throughout all the corners of the earth. And everywhere we went, we faced persecution, exile, and statelessness. But yet we held on a collective hope and memory that one day we could return to the land of Israel. Every year at the end of our Passover Seder, we say next year in Jerusalem. Every year as well, we say that at the end of Yom Kippur. And also, when we pray, we face Jerusalem. Here in Salt Lake City, we face east when we pray. Jews in Iran face west when they pray. Jews in Cape Town face north, and Jews in Moscow face south. Like, we face Jerusalem when we pray. And so that's been a really important part of our collective memory. And sadly, we've seen what happens when the Jewish people do not have self-determination. And so, as a result, the Zionist movement was founded, which is simply the belief that Jewish people have the right, as any other group of people in the world, to self-determination and independent statehood in their historic homeland.
How do you want to be remembered?
I lost my father when I was 1. He died of cancer. I have absolutely no recollection of him. When he died, we lost his entire side of the family. No, nothing. I've never known grandparents. So about a year ago, I was like, all right, something's got to be done. I've got to do something. And Roots Tech 2023 came about. My wife was like, go. I was like, no. She's like, go. I was like, no. I went. It was amazing. I'm here again. Got to find something. Got to learn how to do this right.
Have you done a DNA test yet?
2.
Any matches?
Yes. On my father's side.
Tell me.
Sorry. Before I started this, I couldn't trace anything back except for my father. I did a DNA test with 2 different companies, and I started getting just hits. I got an email from a cousin, a female cousin in Ireland, whose father is living on the property my grandmother grew up on because of DNA.
Dang.
Yeah. I mean, from absolutely nothing to learning what my background is, where I'm from.
Why? Well, does knowing where you come from mean anything to you?
A lot. To talk about my father, I get a little emotional. I always got the stories, well, he's Irish ancestor, so you're Irish. It's kind of a big country. You want to give me a little more? He died when I was young. I've lived against a ghost my entire life. He was in the Army, World War II, landed on Normandy. He's this amazing hero because no one ever talks bad about the dead. I had to live up to all that. Well, now I'm finding out that it's not just him. I have family in Boston. I have family in Connecticut. I have family in Ireland. I have family in England that is me, not just having to live up to dad.
You're wearing a hat.
Yeah.
Something special on it. What's that mean to you?
I've been in emergency medicine my entire adult life until I retired. It's an adrenaline rush, but the help, the being there when someone needs you that much, and being able to, I don't know, might be a cliche, but pull them out of the jaws of death, comfort them enough if you can't. It was what I could give.
Objects with stories, our treasures remembered.
With me today, Brandon Fugal. So Brandon, you have some special stuff. You always bring special stuff, but I'm going to put you on the spot, okay? Family Heritage Stories is about traditions and values and culture. You have one heck of a tradition with this thing.
Yeah, this is my father's Eagle Scout Award that actually was displayed prominently in our home from the time I was a little boy, a child. And this stood as a symbol and as an inspiration to me as I looked to my father's example and hoped to be able to earn my own Eagle Scout Award. My father left a statement with this shadow box that I keep with these items. stating, in my office at home, I have a picture of me and my dad when I was 14 years old, which was over 55 years ago. It is in a shadow box my wife made for me many years ago, which included the original Eagle Scout badge my dad, which would be my grandfather, Boyd Fugal, was pinning on my suit. I look at it often. There is a quote included in the box. It is only by striving toward high ideals and keeping faith with them that you can become the man you want to be. So it is with becoming an Eagle Scout, a goal and a dream completed, the beginning of many other experiences and a stepping stone for many other dreams for the future. On my honor, I will do my best. My dad was the greatest example to me of all that is embodied in the Scout Oath and Promise. That was the statement that my father left with me with this incredible presentation of his Scouting Award. And with this, I have his memory and his mentorship, which was most important to me. This is a picture of my father and mother with me in 1987 when I was 14 years old getting my Eagle Scout Award. And is a cherished memory and a reminder of goals and dreams completed and how important the scouting tradition was in our own family.
Was your grandfather alive when you got your Eagle Scout?
He was.
So what was his, did he give you any wise sage advice or anything? I don't know if he was there or not, but.
Yeah, my grandpa Fugal, who was there present upon receiving the award, admonished me to continue to strive toward high ideals in the way that he encouraged his son, my father. These family traditions are not only important, I think, to our cultural heritage, but reminders of, I think, how we can be anchored in principles and traditions that can inspire for generations to come.
Everyone has a story. Objects with stories are treasures remembered. From old paintings to new videos on your kids' devices, we're all trying to do one thing. We're trying to make a connection. It's the power of stories. How powerful are stories? We asked Maura.
It's priceless. It's priceless to me because when I was first sitting with the guys listening to their stories, it's something you just can't get back. And there's a lot of stories I wish I would have had recorded from my dad, my mom, my grandparents. So at least we were able to get these stories recorded. And to have them videoed and digitized is key because the younger generation, you know, sitting with my nephews, doing homework with them over COVID, they weren't looking at books, they were looking at screens, and they can look at this on a screen.
Everyone has a story. Sometimes those stories are told through music.
Well, I don't usually get like that. I just thought that you should know. I couldn't look into your crying eyes. I didn't want to see it. I left, but I refused to say goodbye, 'cause I couldn't believe it. I didn't know that I could feel like that. I didn't know that you would leave like that. Why does love have to be like that? All the memories that we made keep running through my brain, and I know I should probably let go, but it feels like just yesterday when I looked into those blue-green eyes and I could finally see. I almost didn't say the words out loud, 'cause I couldn't believe it. I didn't know that I could feel can't love always be like that? Like city views and I love you and a fake tattoo. Like head back laughing and moonlight dancing, declare de lune. Like squeezing my hand 3 times to remind me that you're mine. I wish that things could always be like that. I hope that you remember me like that. Why does love have to be like that?
Go! We are on the cusp of discovering the secret of Skinwalker Ranch. The world is watching.
This season on The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
We need to flood Skinwalker Ranch with instruments. Maybe we send 1.6 gigahertz at it.
This is unlike any experiment we've done before.
Heads up, they're coming down!
Oh my God, is there some invisible force causing this to happen?
What is inside the mesa?
Look at that. It's like jelly. I don't know what the hell that is.
The data shows the triangle could be a wormhole.
No way.
I don't think the public is ready for what you got.
Is the military letting us know we're being watched?
Do they know something we don't? What is that?
The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. New season premieres Tuesday, April 23rd at 10. Part of History's Strange and Unusual. Only on the History Channel.
What makes you smile? Spry Natural Xylitol Gum makes me smile. I think it might help you too. It's our honor to be able to help people remember where they came from.
If stories are not passed down from generation to generation, they become lost. And it's as if these people never lived.
How do you want to be remembered? With another episode of Family Heritage Stories, I'm Doug Jessop.
And I'm Nisha DeGaring.